Welcome to Senior Basketball Analyst Game 3 recap. This recap I have, I'm fortunate enough to have Greg and Jermaine back on. I appreciate that. I don't know why Jermaine's making all these faces at the bottom of the screen, but I digress. Look, I'm going to start off with a quote, and you guys tell me who this quote is about. It's an NBA player. It's not often in this day and age that we get handed a prepackaged story like the one he starred in. Complete with global pandemonium, it sparked above and beyond the walls of just our relentless basketball culture. He is great for business and challenged all of our beliefs about what makes a player and whether or not a star can really be born if we didn't see him coming. This is Sekou Smith on the NBA Hangtime blog. Who is he talking about?
I got it. I know.
The Aussie.
No, dude, about Matthew Dellavedova, the MVP of the finals so far.
I said the Aussie.
No.
Yeah, he's talking about. Wrong. It's a trick question. That is Jeremy Lin 3 summers ago.
Nice.
My point is, the Senior Basketball Analyst has seen this before. You know, I've seen this before. And before Jeremy Lin, we saw it before with countless others. I can't think of the name of the Denver center from back in the day. Jermaine would know. Remember the Denver center that had that one good year? He had like 3 blocks a game. And
oh, yeah, you're talking about LaFrance, Rafe LaFrance.
Rafe LaFrance. I've seen this time and time again. And it's just they want to get a dude. They want to get a dude a contract, and they're going to get it to him. They're going to get him his contract. And it doesn't matter how foolish it is and how many times we've seen this before. It just keeps happening.
Everybody loves a good story.
Say it again, Jermaine?
Everybody loves a good story.
I don't see what's good about it.
Whether
I don't actually think it's kind of a sad story for the NBA. I think it's kind of a sad story. It's a sad story that a guy stumbling and falling through a game is some kind of basketball hero to you. That's sad to me.
Well, yeah. He makes up seal
by really defend
sliding all over the court.
No,
well, all right, here's what I will say.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Here's what I will say about him, and not that I like Matthew Dellavedova. I think we were texting during the game, and because by the 3rd time he threw an oop away from the direction of the basket, like I was like, all right, that's enough. This guy doesn't know how to play basketball, right? But what I will give him credit for, and he's doing this to tremendous effect against Steph Curry, is the dude is pretty much running around chasing Steph Curry through every screen. He's in his jersey the entire game. And he's hustling his ass off. I mean, I give him that much credit, and
I disagree.
Apparently that's enough. You don't think so?
He's not in his jersey. He's not in his jersey though. They switch all the screens. They're switching all the screens. In fact, there's a
he's played fantastic man-to-man defense on Steph Curry.
He's playing fantastic.
Let's be real here.
He's playing much better than.
What did Steph Curry shoot from the field in that game?
Wait, last game?
I saw you send out something about 50%.
He shot 50% at 27 points.
No,
yeah,
but
what did he shoot through 3 quarters? What did he shoot through 3.5 quarters?
Greg, I didn't micro break it down. They just put his stats up on the screen at the end of the game.
No, but those stats are a little misleading. Those stats are a little misleading because Steph Curry hit 5 of 8 or some from the arc in the 4th quarter, and these are actually a bunch of ridiculous shots.
And 4 of them came in the last 3 minutes.
Before that, he was struggling. He probably had like 12 points going into the 4th quarter.
Yeah, and you know why? And the reason is because this is what they're doing. When they have Dellavedova on him in a one-on-one situation, so that thing that happened where he got froze on the double crossover behind the back doesn't happen.
Yeah.
When they have him one-on-one, they have a guy standing directly behind him because they know he doesn't have the foot speed or the skill to stay with Curry. So they have a guy directly behind him in help. And then if there's a screen and it looks like it's a halfway set properly screen, then they just switch it right away until Dellavedova can recover, or Dellavedova is supposed to switch.
And that's fine. No, and that's fine. And that's by design. That's fine.
Absolutely, it's by design. And my point is, it's not like they put him on an island and said, "Go get him." No. And they wouldn't do that. He'd get 50.
No, okay. I know that.
That's not the point at all.
Yeah, it's not.
What is the point then?
The point is that we all know, as real basketball fans, that his impact and everything is completely overblown. But that does not mean that he's not being very impactful in the game, which he is. Even the last shot that Curry missed, that air ball in Game 2, he played great defense on that play. That last shot that Curry airballed on the baseline.
Curry just missed it because he missed everything. He missed everything, no matter who was guarding.
No, he
missed everything.
He damn near blocked that shot. He played fantastic defense. I can't take that away from the guy. I can't take that part away from him.
I really, I walked into this series talking about this guy is one of the non-real basketball players on that Cleveland roster, and I still think that's mostly true. But
it is mostly true.
You can't deny the fact that the guy in both games, both wins, he had some of the most important plays down the stretch for that team. Even probably more important plays than LeBron.
Like the one where he slipped and fell and he threw it up in the air and it went in, and then the other one where he slipped and fell and threw it off the backboard and it went in.
Yeah, he essentially did it back-to-back games. But he
did that twice. He did that twice in Game 3.
No, but he
slipped and fell and just threw it.
I mean, I don't. Those are the types of plays. If you're on the basketball court in your neighborhood, you say that's garbage. That's luck. You don't even want to give anybody respect for a shot like that.
That's because it is garbage.
Yeah, I agree. But he's hit him, and it is the difference in the series. Those both led to
and that offensive rebound, the offensive
rebound, that was for real. That was.
No, but there's a lot of things he's done that are for real. That offensive rebound, that timely oop to LeBron. He's had some defensive plays down the stretch on Curry.
You mean that play that anybody could make? Like he threw the ball to him because it's the that's what you do in the NBA. You throw it to the guy so you can.
Okay, look, I'm not gonna let the media tell me. Look, I understand the media is blowing this out of proportion, but that doesn't mean I need to be on the other side of the spectrum with this. Okay, I've seen the games. The guy's depth. First of all, his grit. This is all LeBron. I'm not.
So what you signing him up for, man? Because Jeremy Lin got $25 million. So what's he getting now? He got $25 million.
No, I wouldn't. I mean,
so we're gonna give him 50. What we getting Dellavedova?
I wouldn't. I think he's the least paid. I think he's like the lowest paid player in the finals or something. They were saying. I mean, the guy's probably making like league minimum or something. But
Steph Curry is the fourth or fifth highest paid player on his team. Who cares?
No, but my point is, I'm not giving the guy any money. We're talking about the.
No. Give him money.
We're talking about the finals. I do feel like he could be like a third string point guard somewhere. I do feel like.
And do what, Jermaine? And do what if he's not playing with LeBron? What is he going to add to your team? And do what?
If he's not playing with LeBron?
Yeah, what is he going to do? Do what? He can't guard his man. He can't even bring the ball up the court. What is he going to do? Like, what is he going to add to a roster? What's he going to do?
I have to agree with you there. I mean, but is that what it, no, I agree with you. I mean, is that but I don't think that's all right, so here's the thing.
That's not the topic right now.
I think we should make two separate points. Yeah, I think we should make the two separate points. One is the media overblowing the Dellavedova stuff. The answer to that is yes. Is he going to get overhyped and get probably more money than he deserves?
MVP of the
probably
finals.
So.
Dude, the legend. I think that's what NBA.com said. The legend continues, dude.
It's like you said. We've seen this a dozen times before. We've seen these guys get hot for a moment, have a great showing on the biggest stage imaginable. When Lynn, it was Madison Square Garden at the end of a season with all these injuries and he's, whatever. And we've seen that, and we see what happens to these guys the next year and the year after that as they become less than role players, even in the NBA. So I think, all of that's true. But you should separate the hype from what he's actually doing and contributing in this final series that has been absolutely invaluable to the Cavs, and it's the biggest reason I mean, obviously LeBron's the biggest reason. If there's a second biggest reason, it's Dellavedova's outplaying Curry for the past, I don't know, 7 to 8 quarters, and that's huge. That's huge.
Well, first of all, I would argue with outplaying. What I think that what we need to recognize is this. I think if a guy like Dellavedova walks in your gym and you're allowing that dude to stumble around the gym and throw crap up at the basket and you're not sticking him up as he's trying to dribble up the court and you're not terrorizing this guy, that is new era basketball. But that's not the way that it used to be. And what I think that's what Phil Jackson was getting at with his tweets about three-point shooting teams and this kind of stuff. And there's an element of get off my lawn to this, but I think that's what we're supposed to do. You know, when we were kids, when we were coming up, we took the things that adults said that we thought made sense, and we threw out the stuff we thought didn't make sense. And people like me were always trying to throw out stuff that other kids were doing, and I thought it was BS then. I remember an era where you guarded your man, and if a point guard couldn't get the ball up the court, you stuck him up in the backcourt. Steph Curry walks around the court, tiptoeing around, throwing up jump shots, and it's costing him because he's being made a fool of by a guy who cannot play. Can't play at all. And it's the same thing with a Damian Lillard. It's the same thing with a Kyrie Irving. And that's why I think when people talk about when we were doing top five, is this goes back to the top 5 point guard conversation.
Dude,
Steph Curry in the same conversation with Russell Westbrook is a joke. It's a joke. Because Russell Westbrook, Matthew Dellavedova would be in a suitcase right now, like on his way to an airport getting shipped out the country if Russell Westbrook was dealing with him. He wouldn't allow, the dude would not, you'd be like, man, Dellavedova started and now he's like not on the bench anymore. Yeah, that's because Westbrook dismembered him, chopped him up, and then sent him over the field. Westbrook wouldn't allow this crap.
He sent him back down under. He sent him back down under.
Dude, man, he'd be back down there abusing Aborigines and whatever else they do for fun.
Cut.
No, you know what? And you know what? The only reason I bring that up is because, hey, Greg, remember during the broadcast when they brought up Patty Mills?
Yeah, right.
Now, what is Patty Mills? So remember the 2 years ago when Patty Mills was so proud that his dad was the first player on the Australian team, and his Aboriginal heritage and blah, 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 blah. Remember all that? Yeah. Who did that to the Aborigines? The Bogats and the Dellavedovas. That's who did it. So don't ignore that, though. You can't just throw. I'm not bringing that up. That's not rude to bring up. That's what happened. So I'm just saying. But the point is, he would be Russell Westbrook, John Wall, guys like that wouldn't allow this crap. And Steph Curry, you know what? Hey, man, if you want to let that dude come into your domain and get 20 on you, when the dude, he literally can't stay on his feet when he's turning the corner. He can't stay on his feet. If you want to allow that crap, who am I to argue? Fine. You know what? Then I guess he is good. I guess.
No, I think you make a much stronger point there, and I think that's the fun part to discuss, frankly, because this is on Steph Curry. This is absolutely on. This is on no one else on that Golden State roster at all in any way, shape, or form. Kerr rolled the cadaver of David Lee out there, and he gave him quality minutes. Why he didn't go to Space, I don't know, but whatever.
Well, Space was out there. He played bad for a few minutes, and then he yanked him.
And then they yanked him. Which, okay, dude's had 1 game back, 2 games back. So, but anyhow, but the point is David Lee played really well, so I don't have a problem with that. Give him minutes. But my point really is that everybody on that roster is playing above regular season level and stepping up like they're supposed to and making the most of their minutes. Except Iguodala, of course.
Except Goon Green.
Except for and Draymond Green also. Except Draymond's playing fantastic defense. He's doing a lot of stuff.
I think Green is playing fine. He's just shooting bad.
Yeah, he's just shooting bad.
I think they all suck.
At points,
Jermaine, wait, why they suck, man? No, flip Jermaine, man. Why they suck? He said they all suck. Why they suck, man?
Oh, okay, so okay. Obviously, Stephen Curry isn't doing what he's supposed to do defensively on Dellavedova. But when you look at the box score,
or offensively, right?
But the problem, and before this series even started, surprisingly, these guys aren't getting out rebounded to death. But you look at the free throw disparity.
Yep, I was going to point that out too.
The Golden State Warriors are 7-12. The Cleveland Cavaliers are 17-24. Okay.
Well, we knew that. We talked about the free throw disparity before the series started. They threw up a bunch of jump shots. They knocked.
But this is my point about.
Except for game one when they did, right? So
game. I mean, talking about the some of the statistics.
Go ahead, keep going.
So I'm just talking about specifically game 3 because game 3 I think is a nice framework. The box score is a nice framework for what I would have been saying about this Golden State Warriors team. A lot of these shots that Stephen Curry missed, he makes. Now, when you throw up a bunch of jump shots, for one, you're not going to get defensive rebounds like you should, and you also everybody's playing a perimeter, right? You're not getting to the free throw line. They hit 3 more threes in Cleveland, so they were +9. They were minus 10 on the free throw disparity, but they shot 40% from the field. You know why? Because they shot all jump shots. And when you get a team like that that's so reliant on jump shots, and Stephen Curry, I mean, he made some of the dumbest plays down the stretch that a person like him could ever make. So you can put aside the Dellavedova impact offensively, what he did, and also Stephen Curry's inability to kind of prevent him from getting 20 points that last game. Harrison Barnes was 0 of 8. They threw up a bunch of shots. Draymond Green was 2 of 10. Barbosa was 2 of 7. Stephen Curry was 10 of 20, but he hit 5 threes. Like, I mean, it wasn't garbage time. They obviously cut it to 1, but he hit these threes like.
That wasn't garbage time, man.
It wasn't within the flow of the game. He just threw up a bunch of. And LeBron saw that last play, and this is why LeBron is so great. And I talk about this dude all the time. He's fucking awesome. That last
he jumped the play. He knew what the call was and jumped.
He jumped that play as soon as they missed that shot on the baseline. That dude ran after Stephen Curry, knocked the ball out, and Dellavedova dove after the ball, and that was game. Like. Everybody in the building knew what was going to happen with Kerr on that last play. I don't know why they didn't do that those previous 5 threes, but he just made a bunch of dumb plays down the stretch. And nobody
he made all kinds of stupid plays. I agree with that. But I disagree with the way that last play went down. I think that's just more – all right, so it's kind of agreeing with you, right? That is indicative of more of the bad decision-making that has plagued him throughout these last 2 games. Like the situation.
That's how he always plays. That's the thing. He always plays like that.
Yeah. And
he gets shadowed by the fact that he's such a dead-eye shooter, and these plays always work for him. That this team has great perimeter defense, and they make him pay for all of the stuff that he does. And
here's the thing about that.
They won 67 games like that. You wonder why they won 67 games like that.
You do? I don't. But go ahead, Greg. I don't. I'll explain it, but go ahead, Greg.
Here's the thing about that last play, though, right? I've been videotaping all these games, so I rewatched parts of them, and I rewatched that. In that situation, he dribbled into what was really not a fast break. He created a fast break when there really wasn't one there. Dribbled directly into Dellavedova and took a bad angle. Didn't even look at the wings. He had guys on the wings if he had taken the time to make that happen, but he didn't. And to me, that is just indicative of the way he's been playing all this season, not this whole season. He's a better decision maker ordinarily, and I think he is.
But he knows that he's the man to take that shot. So you can't necessarily fault him.
But he isn't, though. He isn't. Klay Thompson's hit plenty of game winners for them this year. And other guys contribute. Iggy's been hot all series. I mean, there's plenty of reasons why you don't have to do it all by yourself.
You're not gonna pass off with Curry 3 and give it to Iguodala. I don't care if he's wide open in the gym. Nobody's gonna think that's a great idea.
I wouldn't. Curry has before this season too. I mean, they've done that before. They've done that. Now, granted, Curry had gotten very hot towards the end of the game, right? So I mean, you're right in that situation.
I think it was more so LeBron knowing what the hell was going on. Because Curry, once Dellavedova got positioned in front of him, he went behind his back and tried to dribble behind his back, and LeBron just poked it out. I mean, usually nothing.
It's a good play by LeBron.
And if you play by LeBron James sprinted. He sprinted after the dude right after the play. Yeah. It was a fantastic play on LeBron's part, and I mean it was risky because all sorts of people were open, but. They knew that Stephen Curry was going to take that shot. They knew he was going to take the shot. It was a combination of Stephen Curry, he made a bunch of bad decisions, but he can hit those shots. He hit like a 30-footer, like a couple of minutes before he hit that, contested. Mm-hmm. Most of those 5 threes that he hit in the fourth were contested. So he's able to hit those shots with regularity. So you got to go to the guy. You got to go to him.
Here's the thing. So I completely agree with you. I think the big problem with Steph Curry is that he has been a little passive, and then when he tries to be involved, he makes ridiculously bad decisions. I think he should be as aggressive as he was in the last 6 minutes of that game from the opening tip, and I think he should really press the issue for every second of the game, every moment of the game. If you're the best player on your team, you can't afford to defer, even if you've got other guys who are good. And that's what all the great players do. And I actually, to LeBron's credit, because I think LeBron, up until right now, I think he's been a great player, obviously, but he's not really been a great winner up until now. Like, when you think about it, he's 2 for 5 as we sit here today in the finals.
What does that mean, though? What does he's not a great winner mean?
Yeah, so here's what I mean. If you go down the list of guys who've made a bunch of finals appearances, and I know there's a team dynamic, and who you bring with you is important.
There isn't a team dynamic. It's about who's the better team.
Except Cleveland is about to win this series, right? In theory, maybe. And they've got by far the inferior team. And LeBron is playing in a way that's getting everybody involved. And I don't think he's done that to great effect before.
I don't think they do. And here's the thing. Look, the NBA.com had a column on their front page that said it proved this series is proving all the experts wrong. And I say BS, because the senior basketball analyst had Cleveland in 6. So I don't care what people are crowned as and what fancy publication they write for. If you know basketball, you did not think this was something that was open and shut. All right? That doesn't mean the Warriors can't win it. The players decide what happens on the court. I'm not saying the Warriors can't win it.
That's the Warriors thing. And that's why they're down 2-1. I think they totally play as if they got a bunch of games, they got a bunch of opportunities to go to the finals. This is like the first of many appearances. And when Kyrie went down, they were like, hey, beat up. Yeah. This is gonna be, we may give them 1 or 2 games, but they're like, oh shit, okay, these guys are really out there hustling. And now it's turned over to Cleveland, and I really don't know how they're gonna switch it over, because
that's what I was gonna ask you.
LeBron James, that dude is unbelievable, man. That dude is unbelievable, and Stephen Curry is obviously the MVP. He's a great player, but he can't hold LeBron James' jockstrap. And that's like skill-wise, that's influence on his teammates, getting court leadership, coaching. LeBron has all of those in spades. And that is the reason why this bum-ass team, who, they obviously are injured, but these guys have no sort of, we got J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith hasn't played a single good game in these finals. James Jones Mike Miller played 5 minutes last game. James Jones is old. He hit an open 3, but he doesn't have anybody. All he has is Mozgov. He's got Shumpert in his defense. Shumpert won't give you 10 points to save his life. He's got his chumps defense. He's got Tristan Thompson's rebounding. He has no scoring. Like I was talking about before about a bunch of players making like one. He's getting all of these different. He's getting all these different components from different players, and nobody's giving multi-dimensional efforts out there. He's the only one doing it, but it all revolves around him, and he's ridiculous defensively. He gets to the line. He makes great plays down the stretch. He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
Allow me to interject here, because this is what we're seeing. We're just seeing basketball win out. That's all this is. This is not the reason I'm not surprised by anything I've seen thus far, is because, yeah, the team that wins the battles around the rim wins the game, because that's where the high percentage shots are taken. I can always run you off the three-point line. It doesn't matter how great a shooter you are. Steph Curry is as advertised. He's one of the greatest shooters the game has ever seen. But it doesn't matter, because I can always run you off the three-point line. People do not hit contested threes for long. And you're not going to hit enough of them when I'm taking layups and free throws. And even though Cleveland has two scrap heap big men, these are literally scrap heap guys.
But three. Are you telling Brendan Haywood's terrible self or no?
hey, man, dude, man, don't bring up Brendan Haywood. Don't bring up North Carolina's finest, Brendan Haywood. But no, look, the difference in this series is because Andrew Bogut is garbage, like we said he was.
Terrible.
Terrible basketball player. He couldn't, honestly, Andrew Bogut is doing so many things wrong. I'm not even going to get into how bad he is. I'm not even going to get into it.
He's so bad.
Horrible.
He played 17 minutes last game. Timothy Mozgov played 32.
Timothy Mozgov is just chewing him up and spitting his bones all over the court. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. It's pathetic to watch a guy that isn't good at all beat somebody up that badly. It's pathetic. And the other thing is, you have Timothy Mozgov, who's half a player. You got Tristan Thompson, who's not half a player, but he has just severe weaknesses, like no ability to shoot outside of 4 feet.
Yeah, he's very one-dimensional.
He's just limited. I would call him one-dimensional because he's a great defender and a great rebounder, but he can't score unless it's a gift.
He can, if he's not dunking, he cannot, or put back, he can't put the ball in the basket whatsoever.
He can't finish. But the thing is, your big men aren't real big men. Draymond Green, and here's the problem with Goon Green, by the way. He's hurt. He's not going to tell you he's hurt. But and when
ass hurt or like
no, he's injured. When he fell, he hurt himself. He jumped up. He jumped up right away, and he ain't gonna say he's hurt. He's hurt though. He's hurt. That's why he can't play anymore. The dude, he's never been a great leaper, but he's jumping and he's only getting a foot off the ground. He's hurt. He hurt his lower back.
He doesn't look great out there.
And that's why he can't shoot. When your legs go,
it's affecting his shot. Exactly. It's affecting his shot. He's real gunshot right now too. He passed up several open threes that he probably should have taken to swing them back around the horn.
He doesn't want to shoot, and for good, he doesn't want to shoot because he know the jumper's broke. But really what it comes down to is, it's unfortunate, but he's going to be limited the rest of the way because he hurt his back. And that's the way it goes. Golden State has been very fortunate all year in terms of them not having injuries. They've been able to basically skate through the whole season, and everyone was healthy. But and I think I've thought all year that Draymond Green is probably their most important player, and at worst their second best player, because of his ability to contribute in all different facets of the game. I think that he's probably their second best player, and with him hurt, that means that the coaching staff has to step up and has to come up with something new. David Lee long term won't be the answer because he don't guard anybody, and he can't deal with Tristan Thompson either. Like, he was trying to block him out, he couldn't figure it out either.
That's really surprising, because I thought of anybody And I guess David Lee is just more washed up than I thought, I guess. And
he's also just not very.
He hasn't been playing either.
Right. He also hasn't been playing.
Yeah, I mean, except, I look at it, I'm like, all right, David Lee's a guy who used to get 10, 11 rebounds a game. He's a pretty adept rebounder, or maybe that was just capable effort. He was just a hustle guy. But the play where Tristan got that offensive rebound, well, it ended up in a foul. Somebody had to foul Tristan. I think it was Clay, because he just completely shed David Lee.
Like I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, I was like, wow, you just gave up that whole possession and let them re-up and then get free throws. It might have led to free throws, but it was crazy.
Well, here's the thing. David Lee, David Lee is not that kind of rebounder. And keep in mind, too, what we're talking about. David Lee piled up a lot of numbers on bad teams in the Euro bum era, when power forwards were being phased out. Mm-hmm. It's not that David Lee can't play, and I've been flacking for David Lee a little bit because I think he should be their starting center. I think Bogut should just be benched entirely.
At this point?
At this point, I think Bogut should just be benched entirely because when he's in the game, not only is Mozgov running buck wild, but Bogut is a zero offensively. He has no offensive skills at any time. Curry came through the paint, dropped a dime, it hit him right in the numbers, and he dropped it. Like, Bogut has no value offensively. So at least with David Lee, I know David Lee can pick and pop. David Lee can finish in the paint on the block against the right matchup.
Pretty okay passer. We'll move the ball around.
Right. He can pass. David Lee can function offensively at the very least. And he will make an effort against Tristan Thompson. Whereas all Bogut does is foul him and hope that the refs don't call it. And the refs let him get away with a lot of stuff.
What else?
Only value.
You know what else about Bogut that's really the thing that's really hurting them so dramatically is that in those plays where they play LeBron on the baseline in the post, right, and they put Mozgov in the high post around the free throw line, Bogut doesn't know where to stand. He doesn't know where to be to prevent Mozgov from cracking.
LeBron has thrown so many passes to Mozgov cutting to the middle of the lane.
That's because
so many of those passes.
That's because Bogut is dumb. He's also dumb. In addition to being slow, bad, and unskilled, he's also incredibly dumb player. He's incredibly dumb. And
he's not.
He's never in the right place. He's consistently in the wrong place. I'm watching him play sometimes, and I'm looking and I'm like, what part of ball you man don't you understand, dude? What are you doing? Why are you standing there?
Clearly he's never learned it. Clearly he's never learned it. Because you're right. You're absolutely right. He's completely standing in the wrong spot, which means you have no chance to recover. Once that play starts happening, you've got no way to shift yourself back into a position, which is why Mozgov keeps dunking like he's Charles Barkley from like NBA Live, 98 or something like that.
You're talking about the game.
Bulls versus Lakers versus Bulls.
Yeah, those Bulls versus games. When he would take that ridiculous dribble and then swing.
Mozgov has hit that like 4 times.
Hey,
for and one.
Look, here's the thing. The Golden State Warriors, this is what happens with philosophical changes. In the NFL, basically, and I'm the senior basketball analyst, not the senior football analyst, so forgive me if I make a mistake here. But in the NFL, basically, the representative for the way of playing professional football had been all the way up to about 2000. The representative for that, there's only one, and it's the Seattle Seahawks. So any year the Seattle Seahawks don't win the Super Bowl, then airing it out was the right thing to do because the Seattle Seahawks were the only team that's playing the traditional way. In the NBA, basically everybody is outside in, except for what LeBron turned Cleveland into, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Detroit Pistons. There are no other inside-out teams. So anytime anybody else wins, well, It's a victory for throwing up a bunch of threes and being idiots and not really trying to put the ball inside. In any way, you don't have to have a back-to-the-basket banger, but the Detroit Pistons won back-to-back titles without a back-to-the-basket banger. But they got their points in the paint. Isaiah Thomas is one of the worst three-point shooting guards ever. But it doesn't matter because the game is won on the interior because that's where the high percentage shots are. And you get your three-pointers based on those high percentage shots after you open up the floor. Right now, Cleveland, the Warriors are easy to guard. That's why Cleveland doesn't have to have a good defensive scheme to guard them. They're easy to guard because all you do is just run at the three-point guy and run him off the line. Mm-hmm. Oh, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? None of their players finish strong in the paint. Klay Thompson is such a poor athlete. It's amazing how unathletic he is. He's one of these dudes. He's one of these shooting guards that doesn't jump very well. Like he had a dunk the other night and he almost got stuck. He did get stuck against Memphis.
I thought he was gonna hurt himself. I thought he was gonna hurt himself.
You saw that?
That looked pretty scary.
Yeah, he dunks. He looks like a 5'9" dude dunking. That's what he looks like.
Well, except beyond that, the problem is the reason why I think he dunks so much is because he I don't think he knows how to finish any other way. So if he doesn't finish with a dunk, he's gonna miss the layup, the runner, all of that stuff. He's not good going to the basket. So he's either shooting or dunking. He's like a video game player, actually. He's kind of like you said it the other night about the way LeBron plays, but everybody now is doing that. Everybody is either threes or dunks. Everybody is basically trying to play that way. And, LeBron, he's like my player in 2K. LeBron is all me all the time. And he's doing that for a reason. He's not doing that out of selfishness. He's doing it because it's the only way they can function. Mm-hmm. He has to have the ball in his hands all the time to make sure they don't have any. Like, can you imagine if they played Dellavedova as a traditional point guard and he would be throwing the ball away for run-out dunks all game. Some of those oops he threw were the weirdest thing. They were like, weren't they crazy?
In a high school game when like you're gonna try to get a oop and like the point guard like throws the ball and it goes way over there and the dude didn't even cut.
He threw it away from the rim like 3 times.
Yeah, like
so he's going baseline. The rim is here, and he throws it like this, like just as good, like
no, like but to prevent J.R. Smith, we know if J.R. Smith doesn't catch and jacket, if J.R. Smith if J.R. Smith doesn't catch and jacket, he's immediately gonna make a mistake. Mm-hmm. If Shump can catch, maybe jab step, drive hard to the basket. If he's not dumping it off, if he's not finishing strong in the paint or dumping it off to the big guy, he's not gonna make a good play. He's gonna mess it up. Yep. So what LeBron does is LeBron is just out there, and you know what LeBron's doing too? He's just using possessions to rest. LeBron uses a possession just to rest. He don't even care if they score. He will sit there, pound the air out of the ball, then back a dude all the way to the front of the rim, throw up some garbage in the paint.
Yep.
And then he says, hey, if Mozgov or Tristan don't yank this off the glass and score, then we just get back on defense. Okay. I just ate up 24 seconds. Like that's what and the thing is, and this is wild speculation. I'm gonna wildly speculate, but I don't have sources, so I gotta speculate. I think that Alvin Gentry, once he inked that Pelicans deal, Alvin Gentry said, all right, Kerr, you getting all the credit, have fun with that. Go ahead, coach the team. You gonna kick back and coach a team and it's like nah, man, credit to Scarface, man. Scarface, man, is great. Anyway, but no, you gonna coach a team, then coach it. And he's making it and LeBron this is pathetic, right? Like the Spurs would have never allowed this, Detroit basketball would have never allowed this. LeBron tried this before. He tried this before. We've seen it. He tried this before, this one-man army routine, and it didn't work. and he's slower and less athletic now. He's slower now.
They did
and it's working because Golden State is garbage. They're playing bad, and they need to play better. It's that simple.
They do. Yep.
I don't think there's anything that their whole defense on LeBron is predicated on not doubling him. They call themselves having all of these. They got good individual defenders under normal circumstances, but you got Green, you got Iguodala, and you also have Harrison Barnes. You got these three guys. Well, they stopped putting Harrison Barnes on them because that was
Harrison Barnes at the very first play. LeBron, they ran a really nice play to get isolation. They posted Timofey Mozgov. Then they ran LeBron on a curl off of Timofey Mozgov's post up.
Yeah.
Then LeBron caught. They had Timofey clear out, so they made a clear out. By the way, this is how you clear out. You don't just ISO somebody. That's how you.
Yeah, you gotta switch. Yeah, you gotta switch. Yeah.
They cleared it out. LeBron jab stepped him once to the right, drove left, and scored on so easily. I was like, man, Harrison Barnes, you're an NBA player, man. Come on, man. Like, remember that, Greg? That was the first play of the game.
It's one of those things. Like, it's really too bad for them because Iggy's playing great, and I know they've got this rotation that they've worked out. But Harrison Barnes is free lunch for LeBron. He's shooting like 80% against Harrison Barnes. I mean, like, anything he wants, he's getting. He can back him down. Barnes isn't playing screen and roll very well. His defense in those situations are terrible. He gets lost and he gives up both guys. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Now, This is what happens though when you take your league and you turn it into this. We don't guard anybody anymore, and we don't guard anybody anymore, and we don't put the ball in the paint. And what you're seeing is, again, this is not surprising at all, because the problems that the Warriors always had and were going to have in this series was they're small. And I described in my Game 2 recap what I mean by they're small. It's not that they're physically short. It's that they have players that play small. They have Andrew Bogut, who's just bad. And then Draymond Green, David Lee, Festus Ezeli. They're easily sealed. They don't block out well. They don't play in the paint well. That's what I mean by small. When you don't win the paint battles, it is very difficult to win. And against Memphis, the problem that Memphis had was not that Marc Gasol wasn't good enough. It was that Marc Gasol wasn't good enough close to the basket, because they were able to put Draymond Green on Marc Gasol and solve the problem. Once they and then with Zach, they would just put Bogut on him and then just run a constant double at him like the Spurs did. Run a constant double at him, that's the series. And then, gradually Mike Conley Jr. bled out, and that was the series. Against the Cleveland Cavaliers, their big men these aren't good players, man. They really aren't. Tristan Thompson is arguably a good player, maybe. But Timofey is decidedly not. And they're pummeling you. And you can't do anything about it. And again, Goon Green is injured. And he's just not saying anything. I don't think he's going to need surgery, but he needs to rest. But you can't rest now. Steve Kerr needs to but ultimately, really, this falls on Steve Kerr and Stephen Curry. This falls on the Golden Boys in their roster. This falls on them.
It does.
And if Stephen Curry is going to continue to watch Dellavedova slip and fall himself into scoring, if he's going to continue to do that, and Steve Kerr is going to continue to not be able to find a strategy to deal with, like, hey, you know what? Here's an idea. Cleveland doesn't have anybody on their team that can play really at all offensively. Yep. Why don't you just triple LeBron? Just get the ball out of his hands.
Dude, that's the same thing. So that's the same thing I was thinking, is that, and when you think about it, go back to game 1, and that's really what they did. I thought it was conscious at the time. Obviously, it was accidental. But no one else was effective in that game but LeBron. like we looked at the box score, like 4 people scored, only 6 people played real minutes. Kyrie Irving was one of them, right? So they did effectively shut down everybody else on the roster. I think Tristan Thompson had 2 points. I don't have it in front of me, although I might. I don't.
LeBron has to get done.
They really did that. LeBron had his way. He's averaging his 40 points, but then everybody else got shut down. They took away all the rest of the options, and that was fine. That's how you can win against them, I think.
And before the series started, I talked about, well, maybe it was after game 1. I can't remember. But basically, LeBron's field goal percentage has been ass. We saw that. I mean,
it's garbage.
Terrible.
But again, he doesn't
and
care.
And it does not matter.
He doesn't care.
It doesn't matter because
he's letting Tristan Thompson just wipe that stuff off the glass. He don't care if he misses.
Because a lot of those missed shots, they continue. They win them off offensive rebounds. And, you know, I think Daryl's right. Like, he probably just takes possessions off and just throws at the hoop. And they know that their defense is good enough to put a stop most of the time.
And you know what? Let me cut you off right there before you continue. To be clear about what he's doing, it doesn't work if you throw up a long jump shot. And that's also part of why you go to the basket. See, the Golden State Warriors, part of the reason they can't offensive rebound is because they throw up a bunch of damn threes. It's so hard to offensive rebound threes because they ricochet off the back iron and go flying. When you're shooting layups, you're drawing help defense. And if you draw any help defense, now it's really hard to box out because people have left their man. That's how you get offensive rebounds. That's why a lot of times a point guard will drive, and if he doesn't have a good passing lane, he just throws it up at the glass and hopes one of his big men gets it.
And also a lot of the time, what Golden State does is they throw up jump shots and they start sprinting towards the other end of the court almost immediately. So they're already are so confident in their jump shot that they don't even get right back. They don't even wait to see if the shot goes in.
And you know what? That can work. I've seen that work before. The Boston Celtics in the Garnett, Pierce, and Ray Allen era, they didn't crash ever. The only player, and this is the only time I've seen this in particular, Rondo would crash. So they would have Rondo crash the offensive boards. Everyone else would get back. And KG would be the first guy back. So that was in a rare instance where you have your 4 as the first guy back. And so if Rondo drove or whoever shot it, Ray Allen took a 3, Rondo would crash against the whole team, try to get it. And if he didn't get it, everybody else was back, and they would rely on lockdown defense and say, hey, we're just trying to take good shots and make good shots. We don't make the first try. We don't try to crash. And so it's not unheard of that you do that. The problem is Golden State doesn't get good shots. They don't get good shots unless it's an open 3. But all you have to do is run them off the line. They don't do anything inside the arc at all. Nothing.
So let me ask you this, dude. Let me ask the panel this, right? Because the series. So 2 things I thought the series would be, and they've not disappointed in this respect. It's been super competitive.
It's been entertaining too. I don't think it's been well played, but entertaining.
It's been those 2 things, absolutely. And I was confident we were going to get that, so I'm glad it hasn't disappointed, right? You got 2 overtimes in the first 2 games, and then this last one, which looked like it was going to be a blowout. You know, refs kind of yanked the chair on us there.
Oh boy. But, man. You know what? Look. I'm not going to go off on a screed about the officiating, but Danny Crawford's team was terrible. Dude, what were they doing? They just stopped the game at one point because Dellavedova clearly was not out of bounds.
Right.
They just stopped the game. They just stopped the game and they didn't know what to do, and they just gave Golden State the ball.
They literally swallowed their whistle.
Dude, you know what? Man, these officials, the lack of accountability is disgraceful. In fact, you know what? The next time I see a finals game that is called decently, then I'll let everybody know. But from here on out, the officiating is inexcusable. Everybody should be fired. Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
All right. So all right. Yes, that happened, right? But again, overall, I'm pretty pleased with the finals. So let me ask you guys this. because I picked Cleveland in 7. You guys picked I picked Golden State in 7. You guys picked Cleveland in a jailbreak, and it's starting to go that way.
Well, not a jailbreak. It's 6.
Hey, Cleveland is 6.
It's not a jailbreak. Yeah,
yeah, but so here's the thing. It could be. I think Jermaine called it in 5, right? It could go that way.
I said 6 as well. I said 6 for Daryl.
Okay. So here's a question. Because I think this might be interesting. What do these teams need to do to win? Obviously, Cleveland, I think, is easy. I don't know that we really need to talk about it because let's assume if they win tomorrow, then this is over. Golden State may still win the game.
Not necessarily.
I won't say that. I would disagree with that.
These are 3.
We might have more interesting stuff here. I think
No.
But go ahead.
Go ahead, Jermaine. No, speak to that, Jermaine. Go ahead.
You look at these 3 games. Cleveland could have been up 3-0, really.
Yep.
Golden State could have been up 2-1.
Yep.
Maybe 3-0.
I agree.
These games have been so close that it's obviously not a runaway, but 2 things that Golden State need to do. They need to get rid of Bogut. Bogut needs to play as small of a role as possible. Start him, do whatever you need to do. Play that dude like 10 minutes and go and have him kick rock somewhere. You got to get rid of Bogut. 2, you have to attempt to try to double LeBron and get the ball out of his hands more, because if you don't, it's amazing how he gets the ball at the end of the games when like the final minutes of the game. Everybody knows he's getting the ball. He's waving, and everybody's just looking at him because they're so intimidated by what he can do offensively, whether it's driving to the basket, left or right, or distributing to his teammates. The Golden State has no idea what to do with that dude one-on-one, even when Iguodala's guarding him. So they have to find some way to get the ball out of LeBron James' hands. He's not particularly great with double teams. I mean, we've seen that. So if you can,
he doesn't have a jump. He doesn't have a good jump shot.
No, he doesn't. But if Golden State continues to play the way that they're playing defensively on LeBron, they're going to lose the series easily because with the combination, they're not going to change their offense. They're going to that's how they win games. Curry's going to throw up a bunch of shots with 19 seconds left in the shot clock. He's going to do these things because that's what they do. And he's a great shooter. And if he doesn't do that at this point, then that means they've messed up his confidence, that's a terrible thing for those guys as well. So
I think they did. I think he's got it back. I think the bright note is that he finished extraordinarily strong. And I think he had been timid and a little off his game, for 7 past 8 quarters, but he kind of found his groove, which means I think they've got a shot at taking the next game.
But you also got to think, too, that...
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
From what I saw, though, at the end of that game, Cleveland were up like 11 points with like 2 minutes left or something like that. They may have taken their foot off the brake because, for one, LeBron was exhausted. All of these guys are playing heavy minutes. So, when Curry hit like 2 or 3 straight threes, they probably thought the game was over at that point. So that's why I talk about Curry's 50%, 27 points. It's kind of fake because we scored the majority of those points were them just running, just like him dribbling up the court and just hitting and just throwing up a ridiculous 3 and hitting it. Like those were the majority of those points, which he can do a lot, but they weren't like they weren't designed plays or anything like that. He just was a great shooter and he was able to get the ball in the basket. So him shooting 50%, I mean, it's all fake because they were all catch-up baskets. It almost worked, but you're not going to win a game against a great defensive team by doing that. And if they don't double the guy, they're just going to be in trouble because I told you guys, LeBron's not going to get tired. He's going to get tired, but he's not going to make bad decisions tired like Curry makes down the stretch. And I don't think that's a fatigue thing. I just think a combination.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a bad decision.
What is?
I was going to say, I don't think it's a bad decision, but you do see LeBron he gets cramps, we know that, and then he has to sit down and take plays off or whatever. And also, I think when he gets tired, I mean, he's just so amazing that he masks it better than most guys do, and he's got more tools in his arsenal. He's so smart now. He's so smart now, even when he's not being extraordinarily dominant from a physical standpoint. He knows that teams are still keying on him, and he's able to hit guys like James Jones on those screen plays. Like Van Gundy was talking about, that pass is coming out right on the shooter's pocket. He's getting it right in his dude's chest, right where he's ready to shoot. And it's amazing. And he can do that even when he's fatigued. But what you do see is that he goes to the lane. Draymond Green got that block at the end of the game. Probably would have been a dunk in quarter number 2. But in overtime, it's a different story because you're tired, you know? Maybe that's not enough to swing the game. But, I mean, I think that has some impact.
Yeah, no, it will. It does have an effect down the line. But, you know, like you said, the guy is able to do so many. He's got so many tools that you can deal with a tired LeBron. And it's the finals. That dude is super focused, lasered in. Everybody counted those dudes out. That dude is super focused, and he's going to find a will. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's a combination of LeBron's greatness, the ineptitude of the Warriors' offense and defense. And, you know, they're going to have to do something different than what they thought they were needed to do before the series. And after Kyrie Irving got hurt, they're going to have to do something different. And Curry needs to be more aggressive offensively. He needs to be a better playmaker. He may be getting his 7 assists a game, but he's turning the ball over a bunch of times. And
too much.
Down the stretch, I mean, really, if you just take away the 3 quarters of all of these games, Curry has made terrible decisions in the fourth quarter, every single game. And, you know, their offense is stagnant. Klay Thompson is nowhere to be found in the fourth quarter. They got so many things wrong with them in the last 6 minutes of the game that, I mean, how are they supposed to do anything differently?
Well,
you know,
here's
playing the way he's playing.
The problem is really with them. They're flawed, and they're flawed because for the same reason that any of these, you know, cast off a bunch of threes teams are flawed. Ultimately, it don't matter if you can run a dude off a picket fence play, a floppy, whatever you want to run him off of. It doesn't matter if I know he's going to the arc and I just meet you at the arc. Don't matter. I'm going to just meet you at the arc. The same way if a player, all he can do is meet you. It's like with LeBron, why he's shooting 40%. You're just meeting him at the rim. Even though he's LeBron and even though we don't have a real center, if we meet him at the rim, he ain't going to shoot a high percentage. He's only shooting 40%.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing about, and as we already discussed, the thing about missing layups is that your big guys, when they crash, they got a free reign at the basket, which is why Tristan Thompson keeps swinging off the rim. But regardless, and that's why I've always hated the term, great offense always beats great defense. Bull. Since when, mother? Since when? In what way is that true? Both of these teams are shooting terrible percentages. The better defensive team always wins a series. It's like almost a 70% clip. So
it's better than that. It's better than that.
Hey,
it's higher than that.
Them Cleveland Cavaliers shot 32% from the field in Game 3. 32% from the field. 29 of 90.
And LeBron, and here's what LeBron is doing, and this is what's
crazy.
This is impressive. This is impressive, and it's probably the most impressive thing I've ever seen in basketball in my lifetime. Because obviously I was not alive to watch Wilt Chamberlain get 50 and 30. I was not alive to watch Bill Russell, get 10 rings. And I only remember old man Kareem. I only remember Kareem Ball with the goggles. He was awesome, but I didn't see the best Kareem. So I don't remember any of that stuff. And then with Mike, getting to watch the Bulls like almost 100 times a year, when you watch that and you watch it closely, as great as Jordan was, you watch Scottie Pippen with him and you're like, man, this ain't even really fair, man. Like, this ain't fair. Like, Mike's great and everything, but Scottie is cleaning up. It's like you got a 90, you got a 99, and then you got a 95 as his sidekick. Like, it ain't fair. LeBron is a 99 playing against a bunch of 80s and 85. Like, these dudes aren't even playing basketball the correct way. They're just not. They're not playing the right way. LeBron is doing old school stuff that it's not a conscious thing. He's not fighting a culture war or something. But he's just doing it because he's reverting to what he knows will work.
Right.
And all this is the old school way with much lesser players. And that's what worried me for the Warriors and why I picked Cleveland. And the matchups and the style do not favor them at all, even against bad players, because Cleveland is by default playing the right way. They're doing it accidentally, I think. They don't have another option. They don't have a bunch of three-point shooters where they can whip the ball around the horn and just throw up some bull crap. It won't work, and nobody's gonna do that. So they just say, hey man, we getting the ball in the post, and their way of getting it into the post is have LeBron back you down from the arc. So
they've also got, you know, while their wing players haven't played great offensively, Shumpert has hit a big three, has hit a big three or two.
Yeah, you know what? You notice how nobody tried to make a hero story out of that, even though he came out and Draymond Green almost tore his shoulder off. He came out the locker room, hit the big three after messing his, you know, it wasn't his shooting shoulder, it's his guide hand, but whatever. Right. He messed his shoulder up, comes in the game, playing tough D, hits the big three, and nobody cared. Because it's a black guy with a high top fade. Who cares because he's supposed to score, right? He's supposed to score. So
that's a double standard, and we all know how that double standard works. But no, even though those guys have been not great offensively, the fact that those guys they're all big time players. You know, they all hit big time shots. And I think that the threat of those guys being on the court is also a very scary thing for them, and that's why they want to kind of keep LeBron on a one-to-one, man-to-man situation. It almost worked for him. You got to admit, it almost worked for Golden State a couple games. It almost worked, but you know, it's J.R. Smith. I think is going to come. He's going to come along. Probably game 4. I think he's going to have a decent game. He has to have a decent game.
And this is what we were talking about. We haven't gotten a J.R.
We haven't even gotten to that yet.
Remember, we were like, okay, they're going to win the J.R. Smith game, right? They're going to win that one. They didn't get that one yet.
Yeah, they haven't got a 7 3-point game out of J.R. Smith, which they have to do at some point.
They might get it next game at home. This might be the game.
If it's going to happen, I mean, this is where you'd see it. This is where it's prime. The momentum's going with them. He's at home. He likes to show out at home. Likes to get those types of big games when there's no pressure, right? When, hey, I can go and the game can be up for grabs and I'll just do what I do, you know, that's perfect for him. That's when he shines. That's when he comes out and he really does his thing.
He is awful under pressure. He is horrendous under pressure.
So a game when you got a 2-1 lead at home and everybody's happy and the fans are loud and everybody's doing fun dances and stuff in the locker room beforehand, that's like prime time for J.R. Smith to get you 35 points.
Yep, man. It's front runner time.
I think the bad J.R. Smith is bad, whether the game is when he's bad, right?
He's terrible. He's one of the worst players.
He got a lot dumber down the stretch of game 2. He was extra dumb.
Yeah, he does. But you remember we talked about this too when he was in New York, when he like last year coughed up. Really, the argument got into is Mike Woodson bad or good? But a lot of that falls squarely on the shoulders of J.R. Smith. He single-handedly lost them those games.
You didn't like where they lost to a Boston team with like 2 players on it. You didn't like when he elbowed Jason Terry to the floor for no reason. And then said, man, we should have sent them home fishing by now. Really?
You know, the crazy thing too is that, you know, LeBron is getting ready to pull this off potentially. You look at this roster, this Cleveland roster, it's full of the guys, you know, over the years how we've made you can't ever win a championship with this guy on your roster list. All of them are on here. They're all on the same team, and LeBron's going to get all these band dudes rings, like J.R. Smith, like the bad Brendan Haywood, like Timothy Mozgov, like Delamino.
sense. This makes no sense whatsoever. What the hell is going on? It makes no sense. My games in 6 games for Cleveland was predicated on Kyrie Irving being 80%. This makes no sense. I was back Felicia to Cleveland. When Kyrie went down, I'm like, well, there goes my prediction.
Well, you know what?
It makes no sense why they dropped the last 2 games with Kyrie Irving. It doesn't make any damn sense. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Well, here's the thing.
About it because this is stupid. It's stupid.
The thing is, you know what?
J.R. Smith sucks, and they haven't had any, offensive output out of anybody except LeBron. He's averaging 40 points in this series. I mean,
40 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists.
The reason
that's not ridiculous.
You know what? Similar to Jermaine, my prediction was predicated upon Kyrie Irving being able to limp through the series. But the bottom line is, if you don't win the battles in the paint, and you're foolish defensively, and that's what Golden State has been. They've been foolish because, and to be clear, double teaming doesn't mean you leave somebody wide open. You have to rotate really hard. Like,
trap the ass.
So the guy, when you trap LeBron, the guy that came over to trap, someone has to rotate behind him. So if LeBron tries to throw it to that guy, you run in and steal that. It's like when you're running a 1-3-1 trap or whatever kind of trapping defense. You have to be. It's not a thing of this has to be an NBA caliber trap. You have to be creating turnovers off of it, but you cannot allow LeBron to feast on the likes of Harrison Barnes. You can't expect Iguodala to just lock him down all game because that's not going to be possible. And moreover, against Iguodala, you just end up seeing a lot of the same thing. Even when he forces a miss, Tristan Thompson is hanging out on that offensive glass, and really, at this point, he's the best defensive rebound. He was probably the best offensive rebounder in the playoffs. Guys like Drummond didn't make the playoffs, so he was probably the best offensive rebounder in the playoffs. Guys like that, they cannot continue to allow LeBron James to back the ball into the paint like that. When LeBron start backing down, run over and harass the dribble and make him reset. Right now, honestly, they're not making it difficult for LeBron to do what he's trying to do. And that's ultimately, when I broke down last game why Dellavedova's defense was bad on Klay Thompson after they said it was good D. They're right now guarding LeBron foolishly, and it's not good defense.
Mm-hmm.
Other than when Iguodala's on him, it's all stupid. But even when Iguodala's on him, they're not making it difficult for LeBron to do what he wants to do. And all he's trying to do is get into the paint and get some kind of jump hook off. Mm-hmm. He figures if I can get that ball on the rim some kind of way, we won the possession. That's all he's trying to do, and they're letting him do it. And ultimately, then fine, Golden State, and go ahead and go home. And you know what? And by the way, basketball media, I'm not going to let you pull the rug out, put an old switcheroo scam on me. Steve Kerr was a genius. Oh, Mark Jackson, what a piece of garbage. He's an idiot, right? Mark Jackson's an idiot. So it was good that they fired him, clearly, because Golden State is so much better. Golden State, I read Golden State was the best offensive team and the best defensive team in the league. They're obviously going to win the title. There's no stopping them. Oh, and then the NBA.com already told you. All the experts got it wrong. I'm going to tell you like this, man. I'm not letting Steve Kerr off the hook. They lose this series, and he's a doofus. Okay? He's a doofus. And by the way, I'm not going to let you spin it back to David Blatt either. David Blatt is not a good coach because he's not coaching the team. We already saw it. We know he's not coaching the team. So after they win, don't give him the credit. Give Tyronn Lue the credit. Give LeBron the credit. Don't give it to David Blatt.
What? He's not getting credit? Oh, we can give the credit.
No, you can't give it to David Blatt because you already told you can't give it to David Blatt because they already showed. Look, we saw all the footage. LeBron shoving him to the side. LeBron nearly shoved him into the chairs.
You tried to hug him. You tried to hug him the other day, and LeBron was like, "Yeah, get the hell off me, man."
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. if I was LeBron and if I'm LeBron, I'm really irritated with the Cleveland front office. I'm very irritated. You know, David Black gets paid millions of dollars a year to coach basketball, millions of dollars, and the dude doesn't have a clue, and he can barely speak English. Like,
well,
he was trying to talk to Doris Burke. He was trying to talk to Doris Burke, and he sounded as though he had something wrong with him. Is what he sounded like. Like,
well, to LeBron's disadvantage, he has a knack for hiding how bad coaches are that coach him, because he's so great. He really doesn't need a good. What does he even need a good coach for? He really.
You know what he's a good coach for? The same thing Magic Johnson had a good coach for. So you can have somebody facilitating your skills, like
Why?
a Pat Riley,
Why?
like a Phil Jackson.
No, what? But why though? Why? For a guy like LeBron James, why?
No, well, I'll tell you this.
Because if Magic Johnson was playing in this bull crap, if Magic Johnson was playing in this bull crap, he'd be like Bill Russell or something.
I mean, so here's the thing, though. All right, like, it's fine for this series. You'll probably end up winning a championship with Blatt, and you dragged Spoelstra to 2, but you lost 2 with Spoelstra. LeBron is 2 for 5 right now.
That he shouldn't have lost. There's no reason in the world.
That's exactly it. He shouldn't have lost.
No reason. Remember when they got embarrassed by the Spurs? How do you
had a real coach? You would not have lost. Probably wouldn't have lost to Dallas either.
Look, I'm just going to take a competent coach. I'm not even going to take a great coach, a competent coach. If Rick Carlisle had been coaching the Miami Heat, they'd have won 4 in a row, and they'd have won them easily. They'd have easily won 4 in a row. They had 3 All-NBA Hall of Fame guys. They would have easily won 3 in a row. The fact that they were struggling so much was because Spoelstra doesn't have a clue. His X's and O's are terrible. Terrible. They get bad shots all game. And look, I'm telling you, go on ESPN, watch an ESPN Hardwood Classic or whatever. Watch one of those or record one. Watch the stuff people are running, the shots they get, and then watch the nonsense that's going on right now. It's all nonsense. It's nonsense. And that's because the coaches the coaches that are good, they're not even getting an opportunity to see their projects through. The great John Hollinger fired Lionel Hollins for no reason. Yep. For no reason. While he's screwing the roster up with his PER nonsense. Right? No. They had Beno Udrih and Nick Kalathis out there watching Steph Curry just torch him. Just torch him.
Mm-hmm.
Great job, John Hollinger. Great job. So
what I mean by that, I do mean this particular series, but I think just in general, you've only got a handful of coaches that are even X and O coaches. Like, you would look at this series, there's not a whole lot of X's and O's being done. The only X's and O's that I see is that they're running Curry and Klay Thompson off these double, maybe triple screens, trying to get them open shots. But there's not a whole lot of coaching in this series. Like, these offensive possessions by Cleveland, they're not any plays whatsoever.
I agree with you, and what I'm saying is that's why it would be so much easier if he had a real coach. Even if he had like Mike Brown. If he had Mike Brown, LeBron wouldn't have had to play 48 minutes, man. He could play 40 or he could play 35. He wouldn't have to play the whole game. This stuff that they're doing, I'm telling you, I was very recently watching a old Cleveland game with Mike Brown, and the way they were getting their shots was just so much crisper and so much easier. And they were playing Detroit basketball. They were playing an all-time great defensive team with the defensive player of the year and a real defensive player of the year, not a fake one. So they weren't playing a bunch of clowns, but they were getting good shots because they were running such crisp systems, real systems. Not like when people say system now, I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. These teams don't even run anything that's a system. They don't even run anything. You can play on any team. You just come to a team, we run a pick and roll. If the pick and roll ain't open, then we fling the ball to the short corner. That's it. That's really what everybody does. Nobody's doing anything else. The only team doing something different is this. You know what? 2K need to put that in the next game. They need to put that in the next game. The LeBron offense, the LeBron set. LeBron backs the ball all the way to the rim, and then dudes, as soon as the shot go up, dudes start sprinting at the rim and just jump with their arms in the air. That's it. So
that doesn't sound like a fun game, dude.
You said what? What do you say?
Game 4. So game 4, we'll start with Jermaine this time. Game 4. What do you think? What are you looking for? You don't have to make a prediction because who knows game to game. But yeah, what are you looking for in game 4?
I'm looking for Golden State to make adjustments offensively and defensively. Kind of what I talked about earlier. They're gonna have to move the ball around more. They're gonna have to find a way to get both Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry involved simultaneously because they seem to not be able to get both of these guys going at the same time. Also, defensively, they need to do something about LeBron James. It's obviously easier said than done. So I think they need to consider doubling LeBron, trapping LeBron, and making somebody else. Because Cleveland doesn't have any playmakers on their team. Like, they don't have a single playmaker besides LeBron James. So try to get the ball out of his hand as much as possible. On the Cleveland side, I think they need to try to get J.R. Smith going early because, I think they've gotten away with him playing bad. But they need to get that guy going early. They also need to get Shump going. If they can get those two guys going to deflect the attention off LeBron, then, I think those would be really key points for Cleveland to go up 3-1. But I think I'm calling it. I think Cleveland's going to take it. I mean, Golden State hasn't shown me anything in the series that could convince me otherwise. So I'm going with Cleveland.
Greg, sounds good, man. Greg, go ahead, man.
So I think I've got probably two keys for each team. Cleveland, obviously, the series right now, given the momentum, given where they are, given that they stole home court advantage, and they're in a place where they feel pretty dominant. I think this series is kind of theirs to lose at this point. So I think game 4, the risk is probably you're beginning to realize that, and you're at home, and this has all the makings of a letdown game. If you ease up, if you get comfortable, if you let J.R. Smith get involved in a bad way. Because I agree with your man. I think you want to get him off early because that could be the knockout punch. But he tends to just fly off the rails. So that's a danger. I think you got to be focused. And if they can win this game, I think they can close out the series and it's over. I don't see any way back from that if they go up 3-1 going back to Golden State. So I think they got to seize the moment. I think they got to pull the trigger. So that's one for them. The second thing, though, the scary thing for them is LeBron's minutes, right? And I know he's an Iron Man. I know he's tough, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit. But I ran the calculation real quick. He's played 142 minutes through 3 games, and there's only been 156 minutes altogether, including the overtime. That's 91% of the minutes he's played.
Very good. Excellent.
Wow.
There's no human on the planet who can keep that up.
He's on the Will Chamberlain.
Hey,
like
Greg.
maybe LeBron can, and if he can, then
he only got 2 more games to do it.
Well, and we'll see. I mean, which is, by the way, again, I just want to go back and underscore this. This has been a fantastic finals. It doesn't matter who you're rooting for in this. And I don't really have a dog in the race because I don't like either of these teams, really. But this has been fantastic. This has been great basketball, great finals. So LeBron's minutes, that's the thing for Cleveland. Golden State, I think Curry's got to dictate the pace from the beginning. If I'm Golden State, if I'm Steve Kerr, I say, here's the ball, Curry. You dribble the first 7 seconds out of every single possession. We're not running screens. We're not doing fancy gimmick shit. You square up against Dellavedova, and we're going to dare Dellavedova to deal with your handle man up and see what happens. And I think that's a better matchup because I think Dellavedova
just ISO him every time. Isn't that dumb? I said, isn't it dumb if they don't ISO him every time? That's so dumb.
They really should.
That is the worst matchup on the floor without question. And they have not exploited it at all for 2 whole games. And so that's the tweak they got to make. If Steph can put his foot on the gas from the beginning and force Dellavedova to deal with that dude in the open court, then you've got an advantage that works for you. And that's going to free up his shot. That's going to make all that other stuff start falling for him. So that's point one. Point two, and this is just a quick one. This is a flyer. I would start Spades. I'd give him the first 4 minutes of the game. I would play a quicker, more effective offensive style of basketball. Like you said, Daryl, I would try to put some pressure on in the paint. I know Spades is great at that 10-footer, but he's the type of guy who can not back to the basket you, but he's a second shot, quick jump guy. He's the type of guy who can finish layups well. I would give him the start. I'd say, here you go, see what you can do with it, and then I would rotate in the other guys. I'd rotate in Bogut, I'd rotate in Lee, and see what I could get. I suspect Spades doesn't have a lot of minutes in him, so I'd give him the first 4 of the game and see what happens. But he's a high volume and a small minutes kind of guy. So in the first 4 minutes, he might get you 8 points, maybe. So
you know what?
That's a good observation. Space definitely should play more. Definitely.
I like all that stuff you're saying. Just quickly, I'll address the Space thing. The problem with that is, we all want Bogut benched, but that's just not NBA protocol. You're not going to bench a starter in the finals. Bogut's just not going to get benched, and they're going to have to overcome the fact that he's terrible at basketball. And the problem, their starts, they start. Golden State starts off every game so terrible because Barnes is out there and Bogut. And Barnes, even at his best, is a terrible defender. So LeBron just be eating them alive. And it just starts the game off bad for them. What I think the one thing that Cleveland has to worry about is those minutes are piling up. They had to send Dellavedova to the hospital or some crap because he's not an NBA player, so he's out of shape.
Was he like cramping or something? I heard.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. I don't understand how a point guard. I don't understand that. You could play games in a 90-degree gym with it closed up. It don't make any sense. That don't make any sense that he's dehydrated. It don't make any sense that he's cramped. But other than him not being a professional athlete. And he just ain't. He's not up for what he's doing. He's just not up for it. That stuff is going to pile up on them. Not just him though. It piles up on everybody because you're playing against fresher guys. They're NBA players too. So a guy like Shump, a guy like J.R. Smith, and especially LeBron, the minutes pile up and it just depletes your effectiveness. It doesn't mean it's going to make you bad all of a sudden. It just means that they're going to be fresher. They're going to be a little quicker. Or
second jump from those offensive rebounds aren't going to be there. Your legs aren't going to be behind you to go chase blocks and things like that. Fighting through screens a lot tougher.
I really worry about them being able to sustain what Tristan is doing, for example. What Tristan Thompson is doing is as important as anything going on their roster right now. And if Tristan Thompson is not at 100% and ready to crash on every play like he's been doing. He occupies the plays where you see where he gets hung up and he stops moving is because he's occupied 3 guys. And that means that Golden State has no ability to get out on a break. If he's got 3 dudes occupied on the offensive glass, they can't run. So the stuff that I worry about them being able to maintain that is why Golden State has to go deep to the bench, and I don't mean deep to the bench because they're going deep enough on the bench, but they got to play guys. Barbosa's got to give me 10 minutes. I got to get 10 minutes out of Spades. I got to get the usual 30 out of Iguodala. I want to see more Sean Livingston, and not because I just want to see him more just because Sean is a pretty good player, and just to keep Curry and Clay fresher. That's all. Golden State has to go back to the things that were working in game 1, which was going deep on the rotations, and they also have to get the ball out of LeBron's hands. They cannot let him continue to dribble basically unmolested to the rim. They have to do something about that.
Yeah.
Draymond Green probably can't solve that. Probably can't solve it. He's probably hurt and he's going to be limited. Probably can't solve it. But and finally, don't overuse David Lee. That is going to kill you. Don't overuse him. We called him out before the series started. We hope that I hope he continues to play. And I think he should be the starting center and not Spates, but whatever. But don't overdo it. That's all I'm saying. You play David Lee 30 minutes, you're going to get hurt defensively bad. You are. If he's playing 30 minutes, it's going to be a nightmare for you defensively. Going forward, double LeBron, you have to figure something out with Tristan Thompson. Hey, it's your roster, man. Figure it out. I don't know what you're going to do. No, I don't. Because
I don't live here. No,
I don't think anybody wants that question. I don't think anybody wants that question right now, including Steve Kerr. I don't think anybody wants to have to answer that question.
Here's the thing. If I'm running an NBA team, I have an actual power forward on the roster.
You have a guy on the roster.
Yeah, I have a power forward on the roster. Like on my team, I got Zach Randolph or something, and I go, Zach, Tristan Thompson had 5 offensive rebounds, man. You gonna allow that? And that's the end of the story. And then they're gonna be wrestling each other and tackling each other and stuff during the game. This stuff is stupid, man. It's so stupid. And these teams are built poorly. And again, the brilliance, what we're seeing here in the event that Cleveland does pull it out, and I think Cleveland's gonna win the series. I always did, but it's not over because of fatigue. Golden State could come back from 3-1. They come back from 3-1 because Cleveland might just run out of gas. But the bottom line is, if they do win, then that means that LeBron is, kind of steps into basketball genius territory. Erected statues and all of that. Just wait for the jersey retirement, and then you start talking about where he sits in the NBA top 10 all time. He's there already, but you got to reset the thinking if he's able to pull this off, because again, find a worse supporting cast. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've seen one. So,
and a better stat line.
And
find a better stat line.
Hey, the statistics are amazing. I don't mind the poor shooting, and especially don't mind the poor shooting because I know what he's doing and why he's doing it. So, we're gonna see what happens in Game 4. I don't think it's a must-win for Golden State, but I think Cleveland should treat it as a must-win, because if Cleveland goes up 3-1, they'll have some cushion, and they need cushion because they're tired, they're exhausted. Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up. Thanks to you both for being on here, and we'll do it again. We'll do another recap very soon. So that's Senior Basketball Analyst, and that's it.